Well, one of the reasons why you weren't having downtime this past weekend was because you were in Portland, Oregon for the AUDL All-Star Game. Do you want to kind of walk us through a recap of the weekend? I know I'm excited to hear about it. And then maybe tell us a little bit about those special rules that came into play.
Yeah, I think those are definitely like something people are talking about or have some questions, which is great. I can't wait to dive into the 5 rules. The trip itself was definitely a little bit of a whirlwind. As I alluded to, I had to get back, so the trip was only 36 hours. I flew in on Friday, landed. Our GM, Sean Banks, good friend of ours, picked me up with Katie, and I met Andrew Shurin, the Detroit Mechanics player he was on my flight randomly. I connected through Detroit, I believe, or Chicago. Chicago is where he lives. And he randomly reminded me that we had met about 4 or 5 years before in Colombia. He was picked up to play in DB in Bogota, and I was there that year with some Panamanians and Venezuelans on Caribes. And he's like, "You remember me?" He's like, "I picked you up and sat on your lap because we had no more space, but we needed to bring you to the hotel." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember you," because there was a crew of like 4 or 5 mechanics players. So that was cool. Big fan of his game. He's like real fast, hard worker too. I kind of asked him because I was trying to get the vibe of like the game. I was like, "We're gonna play it fun and loose, or we're gonna play it hard?" He's like, "We're gonna play hard." It's like,
I love that.
Yeah.
And how did it actually turn out?
So, it turned out, last game I was at the All-Star game, basically the first quarter we felt the game out, and then all of a sudden we were down like 3 or 4, so I got the huddle, I was the captain, I was like, "Let's go, like we're not trying to lose," and we played 100%. And it was back and forth, double overtime, nail biter, really good ultimate, considering it's 2 new teams. And this year was definitely different. People were playing hard for sure, but there was just that 2-point rule, which we'll get to, which kind of changed it. So everybody was just kind of trying to hit the 2-pointer or defensively trying to block the 2-pointer, which like left a lot of weird things open. And I don't know if they changed that rule. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. I think that would really change Ultimate. Yeah.
Just a lot more hucks. And a lot more different defensive positioning because you could give up a lot midfield.
Exactly.
Or give up through the 2-point line and then close down.
It was like night and day when people were behind the dashed 2-point line. You got coaches and sidelines were saying 2, 2, 2. And then defenses would change. Then you'd cross and everybody would be like 1, 1, 1. And it was completely different. And I think the pros, pros and cons, the pros to that would be different. I think Ultimate needs to try new things. You don't want Pro just like Club 2.0. You have to have something that like separates it, and I think some changes are good, but in my opinion, especially the 2-pointer, I feel like that was the major rule change difference. There was just too many of those like 50-50 hucks, which could lead to some like bad collisions, and as us and DC know, like you get Jeff Babbitt and also like Ben Yacht on the same line, it's like that team all of a sudden has an advantage just because they have that size.
Yeah, and that might be the sort of thing that the AUDL wants. We don't know, but I assume that they won't be implementing those at least for the next few seasons, but you never know.
You never know. I mean, I feel like they should just like try things, and if it sticks, it sticks. The other rules, I don't think change the game as much. The pole, they said it was going to be 10 yards, but they gave us like 20. I think they really wanted to discourage the roller out of bounds poles. That's kind of what it sounded like. There's only 2 rollers, so maybe it did it. But I think that was maybe a little bit too far, because anybody that can throw 50, 60 yards can like pull it to the back corner. So
right.
Again, that one, I'm not as anti as the 2-pointer. I'd probably say slightly negative. But I do think that we need to start making defense a little bit more competitive on the big field because there's so much space.
Yeah, and that pulling rule makes it easier for normal people like me and a lot of our listeners to feel like we're great and can pull it out the back.
Yeah. Oh, the out the back pull, no matter what field, no matter what level, it feels great. I had one out the back. It didn't feel great. I was like, I knew as soon as I threw it, I was pissed. But yeah. So that was a slightly negative rule change in my opinion. The backcourt was very interesting because the other team didn't trap us on it once, and we got them 3 times. And I just feel like it was mostly because they've played millions of repetitions of, we can go backwards at any time. And 3 of the times they like swung the disc. Actually, 2 times they swung the disc, caught it, it was a turn. And then one time somebody was like in the middle of their windup and they remembered it. And then they like tried to throw something weird past half, like this crazy hammer. So that one, I don't think really didn't do too much for me either.
It would lead to a lot more turnovers, though, if they implement that. It would lead to a lot more weird-looking turnovers, so I wonder if they would like that as a viewer product.
Yeah, I mean, there was also some strategy. Like our coach, coaching an all-star game, first off, is like super tough. So, shout out to Sarah G. Thought she did great. One of the really big things she did was like, hey, if they're ever 5 yards in front of half, just go really flat and have everybody else kind of sag in that lane and entice them to swing it before they remember the rules.
Muscle memory.
Yeah, muscle memory. So we got a couple there. Yeah, I think that one's okay. I'm slightly negative on that one too. Just I guess I don't know why. Just didn't happen a lot. And if one of the rules had to stick, actually I might settle on that one.
Really?
Well, for our offense on threes, if we're up 1 or 2, I think we do a great job of possessing and we can go backwards and play keep away, but I think that's something people want to get away from.
Yeah.
Keep away might be super boring to watch.
Could be.
5-second stall, didn't get called once, I don't think. I think people were just looking to catch it and huck it, so it didn't really matter. But I'd rather have a shot clock maybe for the point.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be fine. That way you wouldn't need the half court violation. I'm okay with 5 seconds, and I think if they do an all-star game, new rules next year, try a 60-second shot clock.
Wow, that would change a lot.
That would change us. That would change us a little bit, for sure.
It's basically finding out different ways to encourage hucks.
Yeah, brutal. I know. And it's funny. I was in the locker room before the game. I came in. I knew most of the players. Some I didn't. And then I just first thing I said was 10-yard throws only, no turnovers, no hucks. And everybody knew. Everybody kind of knew the breeze or the truck stop offense there. And so yeah, it was kind of funny. I think it was everybody knew I was joking, but I wasn't really joking.
But then on Instagram, you said you were going to air it out. You're giving mixed messages.
I did. No, this is it. From the bottom of my heart, I went in there I'm going to throw some fun things. I was very disciplined this year, but I just don't have the heart to throw pizza pie in a game. I was not competitive. Both my hamstrings were very tight, and I was walking and jogging, and that was a little bit of a bummer, but I have too much respect for really good ultimate, and I'm on a mission to play perfect ultimate. No pizza pies. I did throw some huge blades because it was so cold I couldn't get inside out on it, so I was just launching huge blades. Had 3 turnovers, still pissed about them.
How cold was it?
It was 36. It wasn't that cold.
Oh, wow.
It was 37.
36. I mean, that's cold for ultimate.
There's some drops.
Favorite moment from the weekend? Doesn't have to be playing wise, and least favorite moment from the weekend.
Favorite moment, believe it or not, they said we got there was 2 weeks, I guess, of this rain, Pacific Northwest, but on that Saturday, perfect sunny fall day.
Love it.
Jack Hatchett took me out with his teammate Josh, and we went to Pier Park disc golf. It was just Portland, these crazy trees, beautiful park, sun's coming through the disc golf course. Good to catch up with Jack, my first ultimate roommate, and that was amazing.